I worked on for when I went back to school. Coordinate with Crius. My talk is going to be, hopefully, the demo on how we can reduce mobile fraud cases using threat intelligence. Now, when we talk of threat intelligence, what comes to our mind most of the time is something related to an IP, a domain, file hashes, and all that. Fred here asked a very good question to Sean. How do we come up with solutions that actually factor in our local issues? Who here has not had an issue via socials of someone having lost a SIM card, lost cash? I saw a few banks were trending of late. Pesa zimepotea TV. I believe most of us have heard of that, right? People losing cash, either due to SIM swap or something tied to their mobile phone. Now, I've not read all my slides vizuri, so hoping I'll be able to pick a few things there. So my talk will essentially be about that. So my name, my socials, I try to be much active on Twitter. Once in a while you can find me on LinkedIn. Right now I think I identify more with threat intelligence and digital forensics incident response. I currently, or used to, depending on where they are talking from, to lead and create SOC teams. I've been part of, I think, some amazing guys here who have actually helped establish some national computer emergency, a computer incident response team to come here. So, and right now I think I'm trying to do the same for governance, risk, and compliance. I'm mostly interested nowadays in getting adequate sleep, bikes, books, and other finer things in life. So, background of the problem, forgive this, if you're not used to this, if you're doing a master, Professor Mu is not here. Actually, it's not even technically, it actually forces you to present your problem in this nature. I think something like academicians. And it's also good, it helps you actually check whether the problem you're trying to solve is actually a problem. So we have these. So at the moment, we have around at least 5.8 billion unique mobile phone numbers. Those 5.8 means that is someone with a SIM card. That is an attack surface for someone out there. When you talk of attack surface, we think of how much or the number of IPs, services, domains that are publicly exposed. When you're talking of mobile, anything that has a SIM card is a potential attack surface for someone out there. Now, approximately 12 million of Kenyan subscribers are victims of fraud. If I was being very lenient, very pessimistic, this 12,000, what's the minimum amount you can transfer with M-Pesa? Is it like 5 bob or 1 bob? 5 bob. So let's say those guys from committee, brothers, sisters from Lot, were just defrauding guys 5 bob. That is someone losing around what? Wait, 60 million. Yeah, around 60 million actually being lost at one point. Like that's enough to solve some of our issues we have around. Globally, 29.3 billion is lost, that is USD, through mobile phone fraud. So all of this is just to help you at least contextualize the problem that we actually have. Now, apart from all that, we do have technical controls around there. I think Safaricom has been one of the leaders trying to sort this issue out with our Safaricom, the umbrella program and technology stack they have. We have Truecaller that will at least tell you this number has been reported as suspicious, fraudulent, so on and forth. Then we also have the Google SMS blacklist, where you can actually report a number if you suspect it to be spam and all that. Another issue is also inadequate reporting. So this was background of the problem, that's why I thought Crius was a good solution on that particular point. We had CA yesterday here. If you go through the CA site, I recommend guys to go through it. They do quarterly reports on basically the health of cybersecurity in Kenya. None of those reports will actually give you statistics on the impact of fraud, those M-Pesa, Wangiri in Kenya, which I found to be very interesting. So, what are you trying to resolve or solve here? If I give any of you this IP, probably you're going to tell me whether it's malicious or not, right? Same thing to a domain. If I give you a file hash, you're probably able to tell me within a minute or so that this one is clean, this one is infected, or the other one is malicious. How about this? So if I give you this random number and ask you, is this number safe to send money to? Anyone who can tell me whether it's safe or not? Even within a day, unless you are working with your colleague with Sabrina here, guys working with Africa Stocking, Airtel, even banks. If you're not in that space, you're not going to be able to answer this question. Now, why is answering this question important? Being able to determine whether this number is, this IP is malicious or not, in a typical cybersecurity field means you can add it to a block list, which means even if a user tries to fall victim of this, they are going to be protected. Same thing to domain. If you add this domain to your firewall, your proxy, whichever controls you have, it means you are protecting your users, right? Now, for me it was always a challenge, why can't we bring this into that and make it very easily accessible? Because I know all these telcos, all these banks have access to this information. For some interesting, selfish, illogical reason, at least to me, they don't easily share out such information. So in a nutshell, that was basically the problem I was trying to solve. Some of the things we picked up was basically lack of adequate frameworks and supporting technical solutions to effectively tackle that particular problem. We do have solutions. If you ask me, they are not sufficient. Then we have frameworks. Frameworks are very important. From an academic point of view, they give you the foundation. They help you actually realize whether the problem you are solving is worth solving. From a very, I don't want to say philosophical point of view, when you're solving problem, you can either solve a problem at a very low level, or you can solve a problem and at a very high level, which means it's very scalable. You can only scale your problem solution if you have a very solid framework supporting you. That's why I think even in cybersecurity, we have OWASP Top 10. It's a framework that actually guides you. We have the MITRE and all those frameworks. When it comes to mobile phone fraud, I haven't come across a framework that actually does a deep dive when you're talking of mobile fraud. Fraud in general, we have frameworks. Mobile phone fraud, struggle. Because there are lack of frameworks, it makes it very hard for you to study the problem and understand. Almost anything that has been solved at the moment, even in the IT field, has a framework behind it. It might have been done 20, 15 years ago, but there is a framework behind that. Let me see anything I'm missing here. So some of the issues I also identified was that Truecaller is good. It's trying to help solve this issue. You can report a number being malicious. Same thing to what Google is doing with Google SMS. The only problem there is all those features are based on a smartphone. Now, I actually used to think everyone has a smartphone. That was very stupid of me. Actually, not everyone, a lot of people have smartphones, which was still stupid. I was trying to look for, here the right politically correct term to use is a domestic manager. So I was looking for a domestic manager. It's a very interesting conversation. Then I asked for a picture, like, can I see to know who I'm working with? And I was told, they don't have a phone, they can't take a picture. Seriously, as in this day and age, you have a phone that, as there are people who have phones that can't take pictures. And it was such a huge issue for 1 week. For me, it was a showstopper, as in the people don't have phones that can take pictures, which means a lot of people don't have smartphone. If you look at the mobile fraud thing, that all the different things, issues tied into it, you realize that a lot of the girls that are affected are actually guys, mashambani, people who actually don't have smartphones. Someone who is not going to take advantage of Truecaller, someone who's never heard of Google SMS, such people are the ones being affected. So that's why for me, yes, Truecaller is okay, Google SMS is okay, but the number of people that actually can utilize this, I don't have the exact statistics, but I'll say a ballpark figure of probably even less than 20% if you look it from a Kenyan, like a national point of view. My research objective for this thesis was basically to design and implement a cyber threat intelligence platform. Basically, think of a virus total batch for phone numbers. That was the MVP. Then think of MITRE still with the phone numbers. I think it will be very amazing if you could go to Crius probably in the future and you're able to actually know that this number has been tied to this APT. I don't know if it is for phone numbers, maybe. Yes, an APT phone number. So it tells you this number was tied to this APT, location of operation, and Jama committee, and Jama lot. The committee guy, at least at that time, was XYZ. The external guy, whoever was withdrawing the cash was external, was this particular person. This number was active for 2 days before it was deactivated. So such insights help us fully understand and appreciate the problem and come up with a better way of resolving or reducing its effect. So, cyber threat intelligence, mobile phone and Crius. We know Uber was compromised, right? Jones has swag. So, guys, kuna lipa. No more dry lips. It's a weekend. I think there's something here from Microsoft. I heard it was coins. Some fancy thing here. As a deep Mpararo, swimming pool, floaters. Who knows the APT that compromised Uber? What's it? See if you can shout.
Yeah. There's actually an 18-year-old kid. Pardon? There's actually an 18-year-old kid.
Oh, I'm saying the APT.
Yes.
Specifically the APT. The compromise that happened like 2 days or 3 days ago. Still like Kitambo. I was told a lot of guys on a jet was by social engineering and all that. Gentleman at the back. No. So Lazarus MO doesn't really target financial institution. Oh, Lazarus typically target financial institution. Uber for them will be, it will be very weird for Lazarus to go to target Uber. Anyone else? Yes, please. Not clubsters. It's okay. Do not worry. Most work, tuendelee. I was going to say the name, but figure the name, the sword for here. So that Uber attack, and just going into what threat intelligence is. When someone compromises you, they leave what we call indicators of compromise. So these are very unique identifiers that you can use to know that someone has reached you. Now the advantage of this is that, let me bring it home. Machali na wasichana na wa Nairobi. these people, as people, they have a specific MO modus operandi, right? So you'll be told, allow me to use, for example, Kevin here. You're told, Kevin, Kevos, they typically have a way of operating, right? So if someone from the opposite sex hears of Kevo and this is what I expect from a Kevin. Not all of them, but this is what I expect from a Kevin. So even without Kevin interacting with that person, or Brayo interacting with that person, most people might know what to expect. Then they can take corrective action, like, it's okay, you will come in the level. So this person who knows how Brayo operates basically has indicators of compromise for Brayo. So before they become victims of Brayo Kevo, they can take preemptive action and avoid whatever might follow. So IOCs help you with that. They help you know what happened to maybe companies, organizations in that space, and help you avoid being a victim of anyone using those IOCs. Now, cyber threat intelligence is basically a curated and validated list. Now, this is making it very general. But cyber threat intelligence, or CTI, is basically a curated and validated list of IOCs and TTPs. Key thing here is it's curated and it's validated. So when people say they specialize in CTI, they are CTI analysts, majority of their work is finding out, for example, how Uber was compromised. Then knowing that, okay, this particular person used this attack, use this IP, use this domain, these are the hashes they are leaving behind, then they share it out with other organizations. During CS session yesterday, Fred hinted at this. If organizations can share this information, then it means the same threat actor adversary might compromise me, but for example, they might not compromise Debra, because Debra already has those IOCs tied to that particular attacker via threat intelligence. And this threat intelligence, at times it's sold, at times it's given out for free, depending on where you are coming from. Why is CTI important? It can help you know what to proactively detect. So even before Brayo, Kevo, and their female variants come at you, you can proactively detect. Now, in cybersecurity means that, so in SOC and anything SOC related, we have been told you need to understand the fundamentals and everything. If someone is going to compromise you, they are going to do a recon on you to identify what kind of infrastructure you're running and all that. As they are doing that, they are leaving traces behind. So you might know that this IP has been scanning me. You might know that, okay, this domain is sending emails to my users. Now, as part of CTI, ideally, you will have received that information beforehand. Beforehand, which means they are not affecting you, but you are aware that maybe they might hit you. So the moment you start seeing the recon activities, those initial activities, you are now being proactive about it. By the time they even compromise a user, for them ulikuwa umeona from anyone who doesn't understand Swahili, Labu, like I'm asking you. So I hope there's no one having issues with that Swahili, right? I'm a Russian brother here. Reduce too much vodka. Pun intended. So being able to do this proactively means your defenders can stop being reactive and being more proactive. If you're more proactive, you have better nights, which means you're not dealing with a lot of issues. So this was basically how Crius was set up. This might explain it better. So how Crius basically is set up is that on my far right left there we have the threat actor contacts maybe any users, any organization. The moment they do that, let me even explain it better. for parents in the house. Mama, daddy, dictionary libwa. Tumia Miss Jen, 2,000 bob, right? You send that 2K. People fall for these schemes and it surprises you. Because you see, if you have a daughter or son, a loved one in school, probably you might not really know the teacher's name. So if someone tells you, my school item is closed, going back to our at-risk users, soko nyumbani, they'll probably say it's a school thing. Then maybe that's those people, mtumie tu fare sahi, niko stage. Then you end up sending all that. If you are lucky, in this context, maybe you are well informed, you realize that, jamani mkora. Then with that, you can send that SMS to a specific number. So right now, I think for Crius as an MVP, we have a dedicated number that you basically send or forward. You can either forward the SMS, especially for the bank loan SMS, someone telling you, KCB is giving you this loan, call this number. So you can forward that whole SMS to our Crius number. Once you do that, it will eventually reach somewhere here. So we have a web server that is publicly facing, then you have the Crius API behind. So when you send your phone, when you forward that message or that phone number, it goes to this dedicated phone number here. That phone number connects to our SMS gateway. That SMS gateway receives the raw phone number, does a bit of pre-processing on that, then communicates that to Crius. Now that pre-processing, what it does is it picks the sender number and picks any other numbers in that body. Then whatever was not a number is picked as comments. So what you end up is one record saying that this record was sent by Jones, his Jones phone number, then all the numbers that were picked in there. The good thing is phone numbers have a defined length. So with a bit of regex and magic there, you can pick the phone number, then everything else you pick them under comments. So that is stored into the Crius system. Now, the analyst at the bottom is able to access everything in Crius. Hopefully I'll be able to demo that. So they're able to see that, okay, we have received this phone number from XYZ. They can do additional analysis on that. Remember, CTI is meant to be curated and verified. So the human user now does the curation and validation. We have a lot of if statements that try to do a bit of statistical analysis just to automate a few things. But the human user eventually does the final analysis and validation. Once they have done that, that record now becomes updated. Once analysis is also done in verification, you can decide to post that number on Twitter. A lot of InfoSec guys, they hang up on Twitter. So there's a bot there that will basically publish this on Twitter, telling people that this number has been marked as XYZ. Then it gives additional tags, context tags. Remember the framework we are talking about? You need to be able to classify your number. So, was this a Wangiri scam? Wangiri, they have a different MO. Was this something from committee, which is different? Was this something from those mobile bank loan? So it does a bit of classification, then shares that knowledge out. Then all those feeds, you can't integrate these with the MISP. Now, the moment you're able to integrate this with MISP, then Crius functionality explodes. Because, for example, if CA integrates with MISP and they form an organization, so MISP is a malware information sharing platform. So it allows you, so if I have a MISP server, I can have other child or slave servers connecting to my MISP instance. So they don't interact directly with Crius. Now they interact with another MISP instance and they sync. Have we found a better political term for master and slave in that context? I don't think so. So, one MISP server will be a master, then the other MISP servers are basically slaves. So on the master MISP server, which you now fully control, you can introduce additional relationship, additional processing, just to introduce more value to the organization. Or whichever national SATs have something they call constituencies. So for example, CA might treat Nairobi as its own constituency, might treat Mombasa as its own constituency, or because SATs also have what they call sectorial SATs, each sectorial SAT can be a constituent. So CA is the master, then the other constituencies are it's the other sector SATs are constituencies as CA is concerned. So, Crius capabilities are basically reporting stolen and fraudulent phone numbers. So it has API capabilities and web form based. API meaning that it's easier for organization to easily integrate with it. It supports business to business. So, for example, if you are an organization that is dealing with the phone numbers, you can integrate it with the Crius. For example, AT, Africa Stocking. They can integrate the repository with the Crius and share information with us. Crius at the end of the day was meant to be a crowdsourced system that is accessible to anyone once they validate themselves. So just breaking those silos and ensuring that this information is freely and more openly available. Then you have consumer to business, which means as an individual, I can pick my phone and report a number to the Crius system. Another capability is basically searching and verification of fraudulent phone numbers. So what this does is that, think of it this way. Right now, Safari, I'm not sure about the other telcos, but if you're going to do a transaction, you need to hakikisha, there's hakikisha, right? This can be an additional step to hakikisha, because probably share this more later. Some of this fraud or some of these groups, they actually disable hakikisha. So if you're only relying on hakikisha, that step is gone, which means your risk goes high. Cyber security, defense in depth. So this can be an additional step. So one, you try to send a cash transact using M-Pesa, using your bank. They query that number on Crius. Crius gives them a risk score. They communicate this risk score to the end user that it's okay, you want to send 10K to Lawrence, but Lawrence has been flagged as a malicious user. This number has been flagged before. Do you want to proceed? You say, haina shida, kaende. You proceed. Then they ask you, they now introduce hakikisha. So those two steps are basically you're empowering and putting in better controls to safeguard the user. Any other thing I haven't mentioned about supposed verification, publishing of feeds, so some of these are functionalities. So this was just by the way in case my demo doesn't work. So.